Your Holiness, it's an honor having you here. I think it was about 24 years ago that I had the opportunity to visit Tibet. At the time you were also in the Netherlands. And when I was in Lhasa, I so happened to be able to go to the Potala and see it. And let me first start by expressing my wish that one day you will return there. My question to you is on the Chinese opportunity or the Chinese reforms that you also mentioned, and whether it is possible that you see some dialogue between yourself and the Chinese authorities. Considering the Tibetan Buddhist culture towards reconciliation and the Chinese culture towards harmony and consensus, do you think that these cultural features could be the ingredients of a new dialogue? And what are the opportunities, and what is it that you're looking forward to?
We take the second question first. Is that okay? We take the second question. We take the second question from Mrs. Afas, and then please the answer to take the time.
I think for me,
You would
easier. Each question answer, that's better.
Your Holiness,
okay,
please.
If you want,
No, Your
okay.
Holiness, please.
Then
please.
someone make a note. Then I can do.
If you would like to answer right away, of course, Your Holiness.
Now, this moment, I'm your disposal. So you have the
Only
authority what
Please.
to do.
Please answer.
She's the boss. She's the boss.
Relation between Tibet and China is now almost, I think, nearly 2,000 years old. Sometimes a very happy one, sometimes difficult. So then, recent decades or mid-20th century, some sort of difficult sort of situation developed. However, in early 50s, when I was in Peking, met Chairman Mao Zedong several times. So we developed very sort of close relations, almost like father and son. At that time, we really, and then number of Tibetan communists, we all really feel under the leadership of Chinese Communist Party, we can build, we can modernize Tibet, full of enthusiasm. Then around 1956, 57, most of these Tibetan communists dismissed from their post, military as well as civilian. Then the Chinese government is a policy becoming more leftist, unrealistic thinking. So that was the causes 1959 crisis. Then we become refugee. Then 1974, we, after sort of a lot of our effort, and also receive, the meaningful advice from Indian government, or mainly Pandit Nehru, and some others. Then, 1974, we decide, now sooner or later, we have to talk with Chinese government, not seeking separation, but meaningful autonomy, which Constitution, Chinese Constitution itself, give that right. Then, at that time, China, full swing of cultural revolution. Then, 1979, the Deng Xiaoping indicated he want talk with us. And since then, till 1993, we have direct contact with the Chinese government. But then, mainly because the Chinese overall policy becoming more hardliner. So including Tiananmen massacre happened, took place. So the overall sort of policy become hardliner. So therefore, the 93 C's direct contact. Again, 2002, we revived direct contact with Chinese government. Then Jiang Zemin was the president. Then few years continuously. But you see, there are sort of still there is a policy more hardliner. So then, now last few years, now no longer so direct contact. However, these last several years, I developed very close sort of contact with number of Chinese, many intellectuals, and many Buddhists, and many students, and some retired officials, military as well as civilian. So then, I think one sort of example. I think last now 3 years, since 3 years, or 4 years, there's a number of articles wrote by Chinese in Chinese language. As far as we notice, about 1,000 articles wrote by Chinese, many of them within mainland China. All over 1,000 articles, all fully support about our middle-earth approach, very critical their own government policy. So this is very, very encouraging. So since we are not seeking independence, and also we fully sort of committed non-violent way, so support from Chinese public year by year increasing. Then now Chinese government level, recent now the new leadership, Xi Jinping, it seems he more practical person. His policy is thinking or pursue more realistic way. And recently, you see his expression in Paris, Chinese culture, very much related with Buddhism. So Buddhists should sort of have important role in China, preservation of Chinese culture. I think it is something very surprising thing. A communist leader now saying something positive about Buddhism. Quite new, isn't it? One time, the Chairman Mao Zedong, he said, since my relation, Chairman Mao Zedong, he said, so sort of close. So one occasion, Chairman Mao Zedong, you see, hold my hand, then told me, religion is poison. At that time, I a little bit nervous. So our same party, our same position, the chairman of the Communist Party, now saying something different. I think that is. I have sort of sufficient reasons to say, Communist Party have the ability to act according to new reality. I usually say Mao's era, Deng Xiaoping era, Jiang Zemin era, Wu Jintao era, now this is Xi Jinping era. So now China, over 400 millions of Buddhist population. Now China become the biggest Buddhist population of country, like that. So therefore, we'll see. Things overall, I think things go more right way, right direction. And then Xi Jinping totally committed sort of dealing with corruption. I think boldly, courageously. So we'll see. Quite hopeful. And firstly, you see, public level, really, year by year, increasing support. And number of Chinese Buddhists follow Tibetan Buddhism. So therefore, public always remain there. The party or government, although the totalitarian sort of government, their life longer. In democratic country, sometimes in short period you see change. However, still people more important. So therefore, I'm optimistic.
Very good. We love optimism.
And meantime, the worldwide sort of the expression of concern is very, very essential. Since we are not seeking independence. So you can tell Chinese, Dalai Lama himself, from his own mouth, say, since 1974, fully committed, not seeking independence.
Very good.
So Chinese official still sort of repeating splittist. So actually not like that. So whenever you have opportunity, you should telling them truth. That's important. And then sort of these sort of improvement is their own interest. After all, people from China. Oh, sorry.
Bless you.
Good answer.
Thank you.
If you go to the next question, then you have some time.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Your Holiness. I'll give the floor to Mrs. Safas, Labour Party.
Thank you very much. No, not the Liberal Party, the Labour Party. Your Holiness, it's an honor and a pleasure to meet with you here today. I think for a lot of people here, you are a great example of peaceful resistance, and already for a very long time. So we admire that greatly. Let me ask you a question. It's a political question. We can't help ourselves. We are politicians, so we ask political questions. You meeting with a number of politicians in Europe this week, not always on the level of the Prime Minister, but still with ministers, with parliamentarians like ourselves. You already said a number of times that it is important that we keep expressing our concern about this situation in Tibet. But what is your main advice, your main request to us? Are we doing enough? And if not, what else can we do to help your case? Thank you.
Thank you. I often used to telling, just Norway, also I express, one environment issue is essentially non-political. And Tibet environment is something very, very important. Not only 6 million Tibetan people, but I think billion human beings, I think 1 billion human beings, their life depends on those rivers which come from Tibet. From Pakistan up to China, major rivers come from Tibet. So some Chinese ecologists describe Tibet plateau as third pole. So his sort of reason, effect to global warming from Tibetan plateau is as much as South Pole, North Pole. Therefore, he described Tibet plateau is third pole. So this is something I think the global warming effect now everywhere. So Tibetan ecology is something related there. So you also say, best thing, some group or parliamentary group, including some expert about ecology, with full cooperation with Chinese ecologists. So go there and analyze or study the situation about damage ecology. Then what we need, precautions. I think suggestions on the basis of scientific research. I think even Chinese government also, I think, need that. So this is one thing. You can practice. You can implement. Then, from time to time, you are concerned about human rights violation, religious freedom, as you do. So these are good. And then, I think China, 1.3 billion human population, most populated nation. Now economically, you see, gaining more power. So China can take the important constructive role on the global level. So for that reason, China need trust, respect from rest of the world. So that is something very important, long run, for their own interest, for their own sort of image. That I think you, as a good friend, you can express. Not in a negative way, for their own interest. I think in China, as I mentioned earlier, you see, there are growing number among the intellectuals. You see, even the previous Prime Minister, Wen Jiabao, he mentioned China need political reform. And in some case, even he mentioned China need American style of democracy. So the Prime Minister, you see, expressed that. So that's the indication among the Chinese, a lot of sort of people who really want more change. So from your sort of expression is more moral support these Chinese people, including Nobel laureate Li Xiaobo. So like that, this I feel you can do, you can express. Clear?
Thank you, Your Holiness. I give the floor to Mr. Van Bommel, Socialist Party. Mr. Van Bommel.
Your Holiness, the number of self-immolations in Tibet has risen over the last few years. Young monks burning themselves. What is your idea about this? Is it courage? Is it anger? Is it protest? Is it despair? And what can you do to prevent this from happening?
Despair is not right.
Despair.
I think despair. I think despair.
Despair.
So, actually, Tibetan loves our own culture, our own language, and particularly Tibetan loves this Buddhist tradition. So, when Chinese hardliner, they're stepping up criticism about religion, about Buddhism, and look down Tibetan culture and tight control. So these people really feel very, very sort of sad. So they choose shorten their life. They no longer sort of bear that kind of, sort of situation. So then this also is a political sensitive issue. So actually, when these things happen, they blame on us from outside.
Instigated.
Instigated. I cannot pronounce that properly. My tongue, some word, English word, pronunciation difficult. So similarly, if you try to speak Tibetan, I think some word you may also find it difficult to. And of course, you see, many Chinese So when they try to speak Tibetan, but their pronunciation is something very, very horrible. So in any way, you see, they accuse us, all these created from outside. Like 2008 crisis happened. Even Prime Minister Venjabo himself, you see, blame on us. So this is something very, very sensitive sort of thing. Soon after, you see, the 2008 crisis and also this self-burning, I express, please send some Chinese officials check, investigate at Dharamsala in India, whether we involved or not, but nothing happened. So this is very, very sensitive. So whatever I say, they manipulate. So better to keep quiet. So that's my position. But of course, very, very sad thing. One, soon after that happened, one BBC reporter asked me, what's my view? Then I expressed, really, very, very sad. Individual's life is very, very precious. So sad, killing, very, very sad. Then I
think it's fine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Be better? You fine?
Yes. Okay. And then I express such dramatic sort of action, whether really effective or not, I doubt. I expressed publicly to BBC correspondent. Then soon after that, I was in Japan. Again, you see this question raised. Then I told, this is symptom due to some causes. So now, in order to tackle these things, you must deal the causes of these symptoms. So now time come, Chinese officials should carry thorough investigation. What is the causes? Why is these people so much sorrow, or they're depressed, so much despair? So Chinese government, they do not allow the foreign correspondent in this area. But I think one or two, they went, through their sort of effort, then eventually some area they reach. So that's very, very important, you see. Find out what the real causes. That's my view. I publicly expressed that. Yes? Next question?
Thank you, Your Holiness. If there are more questions, if you mind, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Omtzigt, Christian Democratic Party.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Your Holiness, for a clear exposure. A clear exposure of what your views on solving the crisis in Tibet. I have a somewhat more personal question. You've been driven out of Tibet when you were still a very young man, about 60 years ago. What gives you all the energy of combating for a free Tibet? And when do you think you will achieve the freedom for your people which you were looking for?
I always describe myself as a free spokesman for Tibetan people. I'm not a ruler. I always telling Tibetan people, 6 million Tibetan people inside Tibet is our boss. So future of Tibet depends on them. It is our duty. Act according to their wish. So Tibetan determination, Tibetan spirit inside Tibet never weakened. Generation change, some cases, the younger generation's Tibetan spirit is stronger than elder people. So we, as a sort of people who say, do on behalf of these people, it's so long their spirit remain high. We also, you see, have to remain that way. I think if there is no Tibetan problem there, only a handful of Tibetans problem. And I think now, after 55 years, I think we more or less quite well settled. Those is a few thousand Tibetans in the European continent, in Belgium, in Holland, in Switzerland, they more or less quite well settled. No longer much worry. But we are acting on behalf of these people. So they still face difficulties or problems. So always sending message to us. So we have to think about their right, like that. And then, as far as sort of middle way approach, not seeking independence, number of Tibetan intellectuals, insight, verbally, written way, express their full support. They feel middle way approach is the realistic, best way, like that. So therefore, we carry their wish. So that's the main reason. Then I think, as I've already mentioned, I think things are changing. I think overall, no matter how sort of powerful people from China, still part of the world. World trend, more openness, more freedom. So that's a world trend. So China have to go along that trend, cannot go wrong way. So, and then also I mentioned the Chinese people, among Chinese people, there are, you see, the voice or desire for open society, these things down there. So basically, we are optimistic, full of optimism. Then how soon you see some mutually agreeable solution find, that nobody knows. I think Chinese top leaders also do not know how long it will remain. These difficulties. So difficult to definite. I think overall, it's the last, now, I think over 60 years, you see much change. Yes, no question.